So what do we say about all of this? Herod the Tetrarch, and he heard the news about Jesus. I would think that would be evident, don't you? If you did the things that Jesus is doing, healing the crowds en masse, feeding the hungry and so on. I think his reaction is rather interesting. These are supernaturally minded people. This must be John the Baptist then. Come back to life, of course. That's rather interesting, isn't it? So they believed in people coming back to life, which is remarkable. This is John the Baptist who has risen from the dead, and that is why miraculous powers are at work in him. That's surprisingly theologically astute, isn't it, in a way? Wrong, but nevertheless remarkable. He wasn't stupid enough to think that either Jesus or John the Baptist was of God, but he did imagine somebody coming back from life. John the Baptist, I remind you, is the greatest man who ever lived, Jesus said. That's remarkable. We haven't made enough of that. If you baptize Jesus, and people don't even know that, they don't know. If you actually baptize Jesus, you are very great, I would think. If you're the forerunner, if you're introducing the new covenant, you see, people don't know where the story begins and ends. So we've been doing Luke 16:16 a great deal, which says that the law and the prophets were until John the Baptist. From John the Baptist on, we have the kingdom of God being preached. That's Christianity, isn't it? This is rather straightforward. So Christianity begins with John the Baptist, who introduces the new covenant, the forerunner to Jesus, who is the founder of the new covenant. That would mean that Jesus cannot have been under the law of Moses in the letter. He can't both be under the law of Moses in the letter, doing all that in the letter, and at the same time introducing the new covenant. That wouldn't make any sense. So this idea that Jesus lived perfectly under the letter of the law of Moses has got to be false, because it denies him the right to be the beginner of the new covenant, doesn't it? That's got to be wrong. So I say this with some passion in my own case, because for 14 years we kept the Sabbath on Saturday religiously, and it was mainly based on the fact, well, Jesus kept the Sabbath, come on, 10 Commandments. Jesus kept the law of Moses in the letter, we were told, so why aren't you doing it? The appeal was rather good, because I believe that we should follow Jesus, but if in fact it's true that Jesus didn't keep the law of Moses in the letter, then we shouldn't be doing it either. So that brings into play on this discussion the hugely important 1 Corinthians 9:20. Paul said that I, Paul, am not under the law. Now, I'll be under the law to people who are under the law if it keeps them happy, if it helps me to win them. You know, when I read that, I think Paul really cared about the salvation of other people. He really thought they were lost until they were found. So if it's going to help my cause, I'll be under the law. I'll go and keep the Sabbath if that's what's required of me. But I, Paul, myself, am not under the law. And our former guru only got round that verse by saying, it doesn't say that. It really says, I, Paul, am not under the penalty of the law. Well, it doesn't say that. How do you get away with this sort of thing? If you do, you're a false prophet, unfortunately.